Hey bankers, Jason again, here in the shop. It's about 2 months after the close of the project, and I guess we'll just do a little recap about where we are and everything at this point. You can see the machine behind me. I've got basically all of my tools in at this point. I've actually been running some parts, and I also have 1,000 feet of material, 500 feet of titanium, and 500 feet of aluminum. There's going to be a whole lot of work to turn all of that into you-know-what, pens. So as far as caps, which is the first part that I've started working on because these other parts are going to be based on these dimensions, I started with aluminum because it's easier to machine, write the program, prove it out. In order to get my first good part in aluminum, I had to make about 75 parts that are bound for the recycling company now, just to get everything perfect in terms of the appearance and the dimensions. So we're set for caps. So the thing that's interesting about this process is that it's fairly easy to make one part, but the real challenge is to get the machine set up and operating in a way that it can actually make a whole bunch of parts. There's a lot of back and forth in between tweaking the program, cutting the part, measuring it, and seeing if there are any problems, and then trying to figure out how to solve that. And so that goes back and forth a bunch of times, and for the aluminum cap it was about 75 times. So a lot of people think once you put the material in the CNC machine, it just pumps out parts. And that's true. It doesn't always pump out the parts that you want. And the reason is, every time you use a tool, it wears down a little bit. And this process takes 9 different tools, and they all wear at different rates. And so every time you make one part, it's changed a little bit. And so as you make more and more parts, those changes compound, and then eventually your part's going to be out of spec. So you actually have to monitor the progress and adjust for that during the production run. You don't just get to push the button and come back a few hours later and take your parts out of the machine. So this is where we're at. I'm ready to go on the aluminum parts. Aluminum is really fabulous to machine because it's relatively easy. And that part of the production for the cap is ready to go. The real challenge now is trying to get good parts in titanium. With the titanium caps thus far, the main issue is actually drilling out the main hole in the cap, which is a pretty large diameter. And these are the drills that I've been using. They're pretty fancy. They run about $297 each. And the funny thing about this is it's only designed to last for 10 minutes in tough materials like titanium. So far my experience has been, it's about half of that. So this drill, $300 drill, lasts for 5 minutes. That means I can make about 50 parts, and it costs me $6 to drill each hole in this cap. And that sucks. So what I'm working on this week is trying to make this tool last longer and also produce a better part. And I've been talking with the actual manufacturer of the tool and their experts and engineers and the guys down at the tool store that actually sell them. And we've all been working for about the last week and a half to try to improve this result. But so far it looks like that's just kind of how titanium is. And I'm gonna have to buy a whole bunch of these drills in order to make, I think, around 800 titanium pens. So you can do the math if you want. I'm not going to try to do that because I might start crying on camera. This situation is basically where the art of machining comes in. Aluminum, you can kind of do whatever you want, but with a really tough material like this, there's a lot of science, but part of it is just making a lot of parts and looking at what happens and looking at how the drill wears and then trying to determine what's causing it and how you can avoid that in the future. And then also to make this consistent over a long run of parts. Despite the fact that I'm using a CNC lathe to do this work, it's still very much a hands-on process. And I actually enjoy the problem solving, but there's a little bit more pressure because I'm trying to get you guys pens on time. And also when you're dealing with this kind of tooling, it's also really, really expensive when I make a mistake. And just to give you an example, I have another drill down here somewhere. This is a little bit cheaper drill. This is $180. It's from a different manufacturer. I thought I'd try this out. This drill made 5 parts before it blew up. So mistakes, a little bit more high stakes when you're dealing with the titanium. So it wouldn't be fair if this whole process was too easy. So I'm gonna go get back to work and maybe climb inside the machine and take a nap, and we'll see you guys on the other side.